Hi and welcome to Ramadan Radio. You're here with your host Arsh, Ellahi, and I'm joined with previous show presenter Ajaz Ali. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Ash, and hope you're doing well. You're obviously cold.
Yeah, I am cold. I'm sat in the studio. I was sat here with a full-on coat because through Ramadan you do feel a bit cold. I don't mind saying that. So first of all, just wishing everyone listening happy Ramadan. Hopefully it's going well for you. In today's session, Jazz, I said that I reached out to a bit of my community, my property community, and I said, guys, I'm going to do a radio show today. If you were starting out in property, what are the kind of things that you would like someone to tell you? What would you like someone to educate you? So I'm going to kind of cover a couple of the topics that they've come across today, and I'm also going to cover a little bit of debt. Now, debt is a bit of a controversial topic because being in the Islamic community, you're very divided whether you're happy to take on debt or whether you're not. And I don't want to go too deep into the realms of Sharia law and whether interest is good, whether interest is bad. We know the reasons why.
Let's leave that to the mullahs.
Yes, let's leave that to the mullahs. Yeah, I agree. But I'm going to give you my take on what debt looks like and how you can use debt to your advantage. Now, I'm going to put a caveat out there. I'm going to put a disclaimer out there that everything that I offer on the show is not deemed to be financial or legal advice. But what it can be, it is my personal opinion, and it's something that has treated me well over a span of 22 years in the property industry. So I reached out to my guys and I said to them, guys, I'm due to do a mini radio show. I want to cover topics. And I said, what topics would you guys want as beginners, and what would you want someone to talk to you about and cover if you're at the start of your journey? So someone says, well, first of all, get yourself a mentor. Now, mentors, I do mentor people. I don't mind saying that. But get yourself a person that not only talks the talk, because lots of people can talk, but it's about people that have been out there and have actually experienced it.
So in essence, you're learning from their mistakes also.
Absolutely, because the last thing that you want to do is start a business and fall into the trap, and then find that it's quite a costly mistake.
So the cost of a mentor, in essence, is a lot likely to be a lot cheaper than what you could lose.
Yeah, absolutely.
By doing things wrong.
I will say that there's lots of free other advice out there, like you've got the likes of YouTube, you've got Google, and they're great resources. Would you agree?
Yeah.
But just bear in mind that they are opinions and they're not factual based, whereas the person that you're potentially going to learn from, you're going to learn from their factual mistakes. So have you ever reached out to a mentor? I mean, you in the law industry, when you set out, what made you think, well, I'm going to start from the beginning? Or did you reach out to someone and says, well, I'm going to do this. What help do I, or, where can I start? What do I do?
To be fair, in the legal industry, you're saying reach out. We still reach out to each other.
But do you also reach out to societies like the Law Society, etc.?
Law Society, not so much, although they do have a certain, a couple of phone numbers you can call, for instance, if you're a bit weary on, okay, is this ethical? Can we do this? Can we not do this? So we can reach out to them, and they'll guide you to the right page of the manuals that that we have.
The reason why I say this is because it's quite topical, because best way of putting this is that the Muslim community, the Pakistani community, they're not great at sharing information. Would you agree? They're very
yes,
much.
But I would I agree, because they don't want anyone. Well, I would say I split there, because I have people around me who I can reach out to quite easily and ask them for information, and they'll provide that information. And I hope that they provide the right information. But then I also know that others, in fact, I can think of one person in particular who I've recently contacted on something, and I know he's lied to me.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've been in lots of scenarios where someone has reached out to me. I get people reach out to me pretty much daily. And you kind of understand very quickly from the outset those that are appreciative and others that are just almost like a sponge.
Yeah.
They just keep taking.
Yeah.
And I've got this
takers
person.
and not givers.
There's givers and there's takers,
Yeah.
and this person is a taker. He only ever contacts me when he needs something. He only
Sorry,
ever
Arsh.
contacts me. Ever contacts me when he's in a spot of bother. And to be fair, you know, I've never really said no to him. I've said no, I'm not helping you. Always trying to help. But you will get those people.
Yeah,
and
you
the
do.
reason why I say this is because the guys that set up Ramadan Radio, they're trying to set up an incentive or an initiative. And they took some business people from Wolverhampton to the House of Lords.
Yes, I've heard of that. I
Yeah,
saw
and
you
then-
were there as well.
Yeah, I was, yeah. So,
Yeah.
and it's good because in the talk they spoke about why is it that some Pakistani businessmen don't achieve the same kind of heights as other Asian businessmen or some other businessmen, and is it a tactic because they've not been able to get that advice? Is it because they've not got that support, that background, that, you know? And it was quite interesting because I thought, yeah, because it's true. Because when you think of Pakistani businessmen, there's probably a handful that have done really well in the West Midlands.
Yeah, I agree. As far as business is concerned, depending on the type of business, but again, I'm relating it to my business. What I've noticed, to get more successful or bigger, you need to actually open up a bit where you can't do it all yourself.
See,
You need to take on
go
partners.
back to your dad because
Yeah.
you spoke to your dad
Yeah.
about your dad previously in your show.
Last year, yeah.
Okay, so if I was to come to your dad and say, Mr. Ali, tell me, how did you do it?
Yeah.
Would he have been an open book, or would he have said in the nicest possible way, the fall?
No, I would say my dad's quite different to most. My dad's
Okay,
actually
let's.
he has helped others.
Okay, so let's
Um,
look at let's call this the
Yeah.
typical Pakistani gentleman.
Yes. No, some wouldn't disclose. You know, they'd brag of what they've got.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't disclose how they got there.
So we'll show you. We'll show you what we've got, but we won't show you how to get there.
How to get there. how to
Yeah.
get
Okay. Fair enough.
there. But as I said, when it comes down to my dad, he's quite open, and I think he's helped quite a few people to achieve a better lifestyle.
Yeah.
So
I think one of the tips that I want to give to everyone listening to this show is that if someone reaches out for advice, don't hold back. Don't hold back. If you've done well from something, you know, pray that they have that same level of success. You know, there will be scenarios where some of them do better than you.
Well, if we had an imam in here, maybe they could quote us the Islamic ruling on that, because I'm fairly sure that that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to help each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm all for that. You know, I'm very much a case of trying to help, trying to empower, trying to help people, and then and with the view that if they go off and do well, that they will help other people.
Yeah. And yes, that's definitely one reason. And you shouldn't need a reason.
So in essence, the mentor teaching the student who becomes a mentee, which eventually they will then become their own mentor. And they'll have their own mentees.
Well, that's the circle of life.
Yes, absolutely. So that was the first thing. So get yourself a mentor.
Talking about this mentor business, last week one of my clients phoned me up. She had just she'd been to auction, bought a flat, quite a cheap flat. And she says, I don't know whether I did right, whether I did wrong. Now, she's got another flat in the same complex. I'm assuming it's a house which has been converted to like small, by flat, they're studio flats. Now, she says, I don't know whether I did right or whether I did wrong. And she's got 3 or 4 properties. But she says, I've got no knowledge of property. I said, well, you've got 4 properties. What do you mean you have no knowledge of property?
You don't need knowledge on property. I mean, to be fair.
No, I asked her. I said, well, look, if you don't know whether you've done right or wrong, tell me, have you checked out what the yield will be? She goes, I don't know how to work that out.
For those that don't know
Yeah.
what yield is,
Yeah.
Ijaz, why don't you just give us a brief indication what a yield is?
Well, yield, obviously, the value of the property and the rent that you're getting, what percent of the rent you're getting a year, what percent of the value is that?
Okay, so in brief terms, let's just imagine that your rent is £500 a month. That's what you're generating.
So that's 6,000
So that's 6,000 a
a
year.
year.
So if you purchase the property for 100,000,
Yeah,
that means that your yield is 6%.
pretty much. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
6%. Yeah,
6%.
there we
Yeah.
go. You can. You're not meant to be good with numbers. As a
I am.
solicitor.
Yeah, sorry. No, not as a solicitor, but generally, I'm generally not good. I'll put it down to Ramadan.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
hungry. You're hungry, and
yeah.
tired. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Mine's going dumb.
Yeah, so there is yield, and then there's another term which we're going slightly off topic, which is return on investment, which is ROI, and we'll talk about that when we come back to good debt, bad debt. Yeah. So carry on with your story. So this lady comes to you with.
So anyway, I then calculated her yield for her, and I explained to her that you got 9.8% yield. So, and I said to her, look, nowadays people are lucky to get 5-6% yield. So 9.8% is really, really good. I think it's a good investment for you, if what you're saying is right. And especially when she said, "Oh, I already know the complex. I've got another property there." I said, well, then you should know that whether there's anything wrong or not. So yeah, that was all I was going to say. That a lot of people don't actually know that.
They just go along and
Yeah.
they learn as they earn. In
Well, they
essence.
learn. Yeah.
Learn as they
Well,
earn.
she's obviously she's a nurse, in fact.
Okay.
She's a nurse, and
So to be a property professional, you don't need to be full time in property. You can
No.
do it, go as you go along with it, and you purchase one. You see how that performs, and you can kind of create your craft off the back of that. You can determine what works well for you. Is it just single lets because it's the less hassle?
yeah. So not every strategy, as I'm sure you say, is suitable for every person
No.
or every lifestyle.
No. And some people are not born, or some people are not made out, or are not fit. Not to say fit, but you're not built to become landlords.
Yeah, thanks.
Stop pointing at your belly.
Not fit.
No, but when we're talking about that, we're talking about like they haven't got the, let's say, the social skills.
Yes.
You can't, my father, God rest his soul, I didn't think he had the social skills to be a landlord, because if someone owed him rent, like if the rent was due on Monday, they hadn't paid on Monday. And Tuesday, like 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the evening, they'd get a knock on the door.
Okay.
Now you can't do that nowadays.
Well, some still do.
Yeah, you can't do that. Or back then it was like walking into the property unannounced.
Oh no,
And all that kind of
can't do
stuff. So there's lots more rules now which are protecting the tenant.
I bet you, if he was still around, God rest his soul, he would still be doing the same.
Of course, it would. Absolutely,
listen.
100%. No, absolutely, no. These are my house and these are my rules.
Exactly.
So but you can't do that anymore, unfortunately. So again, going back to that point, get a mentor. More importantly, understand the rules. Get a mentor that understands the rules, because last thing that you want to do is do something, find that you're in a bit of hot bother. So one thing that someone said is, shall we talk about mindset? When we talk about mindset, shall we talk about the challenges we face as entrepreneurs, often in isolation? Now, that's quite interesting, because we've actually just come out of lockdown. Well, I want to say just come out of lockdown. We've been through a pretty intense 2 years. And so from a legal point of view, I'm assuming you do like family law and you deal with divorce and stuff like that.
Next week's show.
Okay, all right, okay. Let's not give too much away, but what has been the spike since lockdown? Because every person that I speak to, every other person is going through some form of challenge.
Yes. To be fair, yes, it has been challenging for a lot of people. Mental health has been a big issue in families. Now, there has been a spike in divorces, but as you know, up until this month, you needed to either have been separated for 2 years or have a good reason, a valid reason for divorce, i.e., oh, he's cheated on me, she cheated on me, etc., etc.
So if you
Or
just
abuse.
okay, I didn't know this by the way.
Yeah.
So if you've just kind of fallen out, well, not fallen out with each other, but just kind of values no longer align,
Yeah.
is that not a valid?
No, you'd have to wait 2 years.
So okay,
So, but now, as of with again something I'm going to discuss next week, as of the 6th of April, that's changed. So now we're doing we're able to do non-fault divorces.
okay,
So before
because
you,
there'll be some scenarios where she cheated, whatever,
yes,
but then there'll be some scenarios where over time you
we're
just
just
drift
falling
apart.
out of love.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you just drift apart,
yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with that. And if it's left amicable, but now what you're saying is that you're still stuck with them for 2 years thereafter.
That was the case, as I said, up until this week, last
Okay.
week.
Right. So
So
now,
now,
if it's a case of pack your bags, off you go.
yeah, hit the road,
Basically.
Jack.
Oh dear me, no, don't put it just like that. But I mean, the reason why I bring up this topic is that I learnt recently that one of my mentees, believe it or not, passed away, and he took his own life.
Oh, really?
And
That's
that's
sad.
because just the pressures of
Mm.
business, life, and everything got too much.
Mm.
And so, in terms of that, it kind of hit home thinking, oh man, okay. And I was speaking to this guy, and I always kept saying, everything okay? He goes, yeah, Arsh, everything's fine.
Well, that's the thing with mental health. Sometimes you can't tell. With a business person, sometimes you can't tell because, again, this is a conversation I've had with many people. I've said that as employers, as business people, we're not allowed to have mental health issues. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. Everyone just assumes we're
Yeah,
like supermen,
superhuman. Yeah,
superhuman,
yeah.
and we just carry on.
Yeah.
We,
So it's not. It feels that everyone else, an employee, standard employee, is allowed to have mental health issues or go off sick for mental health. We can't go off sick.
See, if I'm not saying that this is a good thing, but a friend of mine is a head teacher for a school in the West Midlands,
Mm-hmm.
and he goes that hit the number of staff that almost like call in weekly and said, it's become too much. I need time off.
Well, teachers have always had it, hasn't it? I mean, teachers have always. I always believe that teaching is one of the hardest professions one can do, especially high school, because these kids can be,
Challenging.
very challenging at times. So, if a parent can, if a parent can struggle with one or two children or three children,
Imagine having
Te-
30 of them in a room.
yeah, all day.
Yeah.
So
different bunches of 30s as well.
exactly,
So, yeah.
exactly. So each one comes with its own challenges.
Yeah, yeah.
So hats off to these teachers. I'll be quite honest with you. It's not easy for them.
No. So, and then going back to the point that this guy unfortunately passed away, and he was a great guy. Yeah, he was a great guy, really down to earth guy, and it was a real shame. So it kind of hit home, thinking, oh man, okay, what must he have been going through to do that? And so, was he at a point where it just got too much? Was it because the challenges of business? Was it the challenges of lockdown? Was it the challenges of everything else that came with it? So, how do we deal with that? The first thing I'd say is just reach out. Reach out. Doesn't matter who to. Reach out to someone. If you're alone, feel free to reach out to, there's so many organisations out there. And I think talking on a Muslim radio show, on the Ramadan radio, again, I'm going to be very stereotypical. How many Muslim men would you know that would go out and said, I'm dealing with depression right now?
I've not come across anyone.
They won't, because,
No.
again, they like to think that they're as strong as an ox.
Yeah.
And as a result, they'll think anything that comes, I'll just deal with it. It's okay.
Mm.
And then it's almost like brush it under the carpet.
Yeah.
And then it never gets dealt with until eventually it bubbles up, and it becomes too much. And by that point, it's too late.
Yeah, it is. It is. I've known people who, again, I thought, really nice guys. One especially who actually committed suicide as well. We went to school together. You never would have thought that he would do any such a thing. I mean, he never harmed anyone else ever, for him to harm himself, must have been something in his head that no one realized.
And this is the thing, that we've all got our own demons.
Yeah,
We've all got our own demons, whether it be personal or business related. Again, we don't know what someone's spreadsheet, what someone's balance sheet is looking like, or what their cash position is, or etc.
What people see is, for instance, with you, they'll see your big car outside and then think, all right, he's rolling in it. They don't know what your bills are like. They don't know what's going on, what your wife's telling you she wants to buy. So
yeah, and this is the thing. Again, I think I'm going too deep here, but then we're talking about the social media lifestyle, and which I'm very against.
Yeah.
Which I'm very, very against, and that's why okay, I use social media, but I use it, I'd like to think, respectively, and I don't go out start taking photos of me doing this and me doing that, because I don't want to. I'm trying not to teach my children that as well. And the reason why I say that is because I don't want them going out going snap, 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 snap. I don't want to be looking at the top of their heads. I want to be looking at the face.
Yeah.
And so I'm
saying that they're on their laptops and iPads at school nowadays.
Yeah, iPads in school. So, but then
bumped into your daughter at school. A couple of weeks back.
And she's
on an
iPad. Yeah. So and that's what happens. Unfortunately, they're becoming this technological, generation.
It is.
But it's a tough one. So that's tough. So they're surrounded by it, and then growing up as adults again. Perhaps it could have been that they got too much, because again, property is quite a competitive marketplace. So you go on social media, this person's doing this deal, this person's doing that deal, and then sometimes you can start to even feel inferior. You can't thought, well, he's done that.
How's he done that?
How is he done that?
How come I can't get them?
Yeah, why can I not do that?
Yeah.
I've been in this. Again, I don't mind saying that. I've been in this 22 years. I see some young guys doing phenomenally well. I'm thinking, well, okay, how have they done that? And, I have to sit back and think, well, fair play. Hats off to them. They've done it. But again, we only see the nice side.
Yeah.
We only see the good side, as they're telling us the good things. They're not telling us about the uncomfortable conversations they've had. They're not telling us about the sleepless nights they've had. They're not telling us about how many times that deal's nearly fallen out of bed. Because, social media,
that's not the attractive side, is it?
Yeah, it's only the attractive side they want to see. We'd see so much.
It's what they want you to believe.
Exactly, and it's and this is the one thing I'll say, that social media is great, but it's also got a very bad point to it. I don't know how we got into social media, by the way.
Yeah.
So we're nearly wrapping up. We've got a minute left for this half. I think, to be fair, that's flown by.
It has flown by.
It's flown by. So I mean,
I was planning on leaving now.
You're here for the rest of the session. So we're going to be talking about debt, because I think it's a great topic, and you've really got to understand it, because there's good debt, bad debt, and if you leverage good debt to the best of its ability, it could get you to the words that I don't really like using, financial freedom. If you use it in a negative way, it can cost you everything, in essence, and that's where you get into financial issues. And off the back of that, that's where almost like it starts crumbling down to the point where we've discussed that it can be detrimental to your health. So we'll see you shortly after the break. Thank you. Bye-bye.
The death of a loved one is a very emotional and challenging time for the family members of the deceased. Al Mu'min Funeral Services have been supporting families across the UK since 2005. Their professional, experienced and quality service ensures the whole process from release from hospital to burial is taken care of respectfully and efficiently. They also specialise in worldwide repatriations, assisting to take loved ones to Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Iraq or anywhere worldwide. almu'minfunerals.co.uk, your trusted funeral service.
Do you have a family member that's passed away and you would like someone to assist you in legal advice? Kenneth Jones Solicitors has been providing legal services for businesses and individuals since 1986. We specialise in probate, Islamic wills and family law. We also offer services in conveyancing, immigration and personal injury. Contact us today on 01902 745 773 or visit us on our website at kenneth-jones.co.uk.
Betsy's Burgers taste flippin' awesome. Betsy's world-famous burgers are coming soon to Wolverhampton and Wednesfield. Prepare for sizzling hot smash burgers, bubbling mac and cheese, and sensational sides. Betsy's is home to undefeated, crispy on the outside and fluffy on the inside fries. Dunk your Betsy's burger in a lava-hot melted cheese and get a load of our loaded fries and mouth-watering cheese-filled onion rings. The king is dead. Long live the queen. Betsy's Burgers, coming flippin' soon. Eurofit Auto Centres, the West Midlands' leading independent auto centre, celebrating 18 years of service. All services, MOT and repairs, with a free collection and drop-off service within Wolverhampton. Book online today at eurofitautocentres.co.uk or call us on 01902 40 40 45 and we'll direct you to your nearest branch. The experts making vehicle repairs simple.
Are you in receipt of benefits and looking for cavity wall or underfloor insulation? Did you know, with Northern Gas Heating, you could get a free boiler with the insulation measure of your choice? Call 0800 083 1000 or go to northerngasheating.com to see if you're eligible. It's a quick and easy assessment. Northern Gas Heating, celebrating over 20 years in the industry. We're proud to be the UK's local central heating company.
Feeling peckish? Treat your taste buds with a range of delicious snacks and flavours of the Far East from Indus. Why not try our range of roasted nuts, dried fruit, Bombay mix and flavoured snacks? Indus by AIB Foods. Available in your local supermarkets and varied retailers. Indus, the world's finest foods. Khan Builders offer a full range of building services, from major rebuilds to small projects, home improvements, kitchen fitting, plastering, bathroom fitting, extensions and much more. We pride ourselves on providing a professional, caring and high quality service and always meet our customers' needs. Contact Khan Builders today on 07813 950 265 for a free quotation from Khan Builders. Pack Continental, your local best halal supermarket in Wolverhampton. Established for over 20 years, we pride ourselves on our fresh vegetables and fresh fruit. We have a variety of spices and lentils. We're also an award-winning Halal Butcher of the Year for 2 consecutive years. We supply excellent quality meat and poultry delivered fresh daily to our store. Visit us today at 1 to 3 Hunter Street, Wolverhampton, WV6 0QZ, or call 01902 717 792. Open 9am till 8pm Monday to Saturday and 10am till 6pm on Sundays. Do you need planning permission and don't know where to start? Whether you're planning on extending your family home or building a new one, Footprint Design Architects are here for you. With a broad range of experience in residential, commercial and industrial architecture, we pride ourselves in offering a unique, tailored service for all our clients. For more information, visit our website www.footprintdesign.net or contact us at info@footprintdesign.net.
Ramadan's blessed days are the perfect opportunity to reach out to suffering families in the Ummah with our charity. You can do so by donating to one of Ummah Welfare Trust's many projects which are helping our brothers and sisters in Africa, Asia and the Middle East. In these difficult days, charity is one of the best ways to earn Allah's pleasure and protection. To give yours, call 0800 4 0800 11 or visit
Welcome back to the second part of the show with the property and business show with Arsh Ellahi, and I'm joined here with good friend Ijaz Ali. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Arsh. Thanks for asking.
Good. Well, first thing we forgot to do is welcome our guests and more importantly, ask them to call in. So we're going to be we talked briefly about starting business and getting a mentor, and then we went on to talk a bit about mental health. So if you've got a burning desire of a question, feel free to call in. It'd be great to hear from you. 01902 972 150, or you can send us a WhatsApp on 07440 420 432. I suppose one of the questions I've got to ask is that if you're a business owner, if you've been going through a tough time, ask the question, because we talk about depression, we talk about all the other bits. That one of the things that we never talk about is burnout.
Yeah.
Burnout, and when you're in essence, you've done too much.
I've definitely been through that myself.
I've been through it. I go through it quite regular, and you've got to really understand when to start, when to stop, when to step away, when to rejuvenate, when to recharge the batteries, and these are the things that you need to really understand, because that'll be the difference between you lasting 10 years in business or you lasting 30 years in business. Would you agree?
I agree.
How did you find burnout?
I found it quite tough. It was just, your body was just tired.
Yeah.
Just
Physically, emotionally.
Yeah, drained. Just drained.
And some people are going through burnout, but they don't actually realise they're going through burnout.
Yeah. No, I was lucky that, my wife even realised, she could tell that I wasn't myself. So, it was good. I think she helped in that. Even on the weekend, she said, you know what, just relax. Don't worry about the kids. Don't worry about, you just chill out.
You know what my wife would have said?
Go on.
Take the kids to the park.
No.
You've done 100 hours this week. Take the kids to the park then, and then when you come back, can you wash the pond there? Then can you cut the grass?
Well, luckily, all of these jobs, there's machines for or people for. So, lucky there. But as far as burnout's concerned, no, only recently this was, and she was quite supportive, and that's one thing.
That's interesting. So burnout was after lockdown.
Yes.
Was that because of stress? Because of lockdown?
Work stress. It's all work stress.
Yeah. Because were you worried about?
No, it was because the amount of work that we had. We had a lot of, the conveyancing was booming, etc.
Yeah.
We had a lot of work on, and I had to obviously deal with staffing issues and all that as well. So burnout was, inevitable.
Okay, we've just been invited by another guest. Welcome. Introduce yourself, young man.
Assalamu alaikum, listeners. My name is Yusuf Shafi.
So Yusuf is on after us as well. Is that correct, Yusuf?
That's correct. Yes, my program is called In Conversation With.
Ah, okay, fantastic. So we're
I'm sure mine was called In Conversation.
Mine was called In Conversation With as well. So I mean, so we were just talking about just now. We just finished off on where we started in part one about burnout. Okay. So lots of business people go through burnout. Ijaz said that he went through burnout. I've been through burnout, and lots of people will push through burnout because they don't realise A, that they're going through burnout, or B, it's a mindset of if I stop now, who's going to look after the business? Who's going to look after the kids? Who's going to look after the outgoings? Which takes me nicely onto my next topic. Now, Yusuf came in the break and he goes, I really want to join this part because we're talking about good debt, bad debt. Mm-hmm. Now, Yusuf is going to bring the Islamic slant.
I'm not a scholar, so I don't know about the Islamic.
No, it's okay. Well, you're more of a scholar than I or Ijaz are.
I'll just give my personal views.
No, that's fine. So I'm going to start with a quote. Get as much debt as possible. This is the lion's way of thinking. Okay, and the reason why I say that is because I'm pulling up a quote here on my phone. I'm looking at it as we speak. And we're going to look through the different levels of the debt differences. So what is good debt? In general, good debt is what increases your net worth and or helps you to generate value. Good debt allows you to manage your finances more effectively, to leverage your wealth, to buy things you need, and to handle unforeseen emergencies. Then we've got bad debt. Bad debt is what does not increase wealth and is used to purchase goods or services that have no lasting value. Now, in the property industry, in the business world, people say leverage by using debt. Now, let's refer this back to a property. Let's just imagine that you're buying a property for £100,000. Now, you can go off and get a mortgage for £75,000, which means that, and we're going to come back to you in a second, Yusuf, because you're going to talk to me about your thoughts on mortgages.
Well, I wasn't actually, but yeah.
Okay,
if you
but
insist.
more importantly, about your thoughts on interest.
Wasn't going to do that either.
Okay, so fair
so
enough.
tell us what about good debt and bad
So
debt
more
did you want to
important,
talk about?
more important, what are you doing here?
I was listening to this wonderful program on my way in to start my show at 6:00, and I thought to myself, how wonderful it is that we've got so much diversity and we've got so many different things on Radio Ramadan this year.
Absolutely.
And then as I was parking up my car, you started to talk about good debt and bad debt. And I should be now just sitting there and reflecting on my own show and thinking about how I'm going to progress my hour and a half. And I thought, no, I'm going to knock on the door and let's see if Brother Arshad is going to be able to take on some views from an Islamic perspective. And it
So tell me, from the Islamic perspective.
So my idea of good debt and bad debt is that I'm not myself, so please don't, listeners or anybody, think I'm preaching, because I'm not in a position to preach to anybody. But what I would say is that our life in this dunya is very short. And a lot of the aspirations and desires and wants and dreams we have are based around materialism.
Absolutely.
Now, that materialism is to a limited extent useful and good.
Absolutely.
Because it makes us strive and it makes us struggle, and that's what keeps us alive, and that's what keeps the planet turning, I think. Without that, human beings wouldn't be what we are. And you wouldn't have invented paracetamol, you wouldn't have invented the car, you wouldn't have invented, we wouldn't have got to the moon if it wasn't for innovation, if it wasn't for that strive to go ahead and achieve and do well and,
We wouldn't be talking to anyone.
we wouldn't be, the radio wouldn't have
radio,
existed.
yeah,
Exactly, yeah.
exactly.
So the point is that, in a sense, a little bit of that selfishness, thinking of the future, thinking of my family, thinking of my wealth, is good and is acceptable. But where you get to a point of gluttony, where you get to a point of, as you were talking about earlier when I wasn't here, you were talking about mental health and you were talking about the issues around people getting stressed and people getting depressed.
We also talked about the Instagram life.
And exactly, yeah, and living your life through the want of people, seeking people's approval.
Yes.
Seeking
Validation.
Validation and approval of others. Where you get into that vicious circle and then you start talking about good debt and bad debt, then really you're going to achieve very little. And I've often been told, and that's because I'm as guilty as the next man. So as I said, I'm not here to preach to anybody. I'm as guilty as the next man. I've often been told, look, doesn't matter what you make, you're always going to sleep in one bed. You're only going to eat the 2 rotiyan that you always eat. You're always going to.
It's really random you say that. Someone said to me, what was it, last week? They said, I only want 2 roti for my dinner.
Yeah, exactly. You're only going to,
The rest will lie with it. Yeah.
wear the clothes that you wear. So do we desperately need to?
Well, the difference between need and want, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Want is the burning desire.
Yeah. The desperation.
Yes.
To the point that it causes you the mental health. And you were saying, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, may Allah give him Jannah, the person a friend of yours who passed away.
Yeah.
And that is the ultimate extreme of worrying about, I need to make. One of the things I'm sorry, I don't mean to take over.
No.
One of the things I heard from a scholar, which was very, very interesting, is he said if you look at all of the animals and all humans and everyone on the planet, everybody wakes up in the morning hungry. Everybody runs out and looks for their food. If it's a lion, it'll look for a deer. If it's a slug, it'll look for its little ants or whatever it eats. Or if it's a bird, it looks for its worm. Once they've achieved what they want to achieve for that day, they've filled their stomach, all of the other animals on the planet are content. A lion will sit there and a deer can walk past it. If it's full, it's not going to harm the deer. It's not going to bother itself running around after the deer trying to chase it because it's full. And it has trust in Allah that tomorrow Allah gave me a deer this morning, Allah will give me a deer tomorrow. So this deer can go by, I'm not going to bother it. It doesn't ever, you never see a lion grabbing the deer, killing it for the sake of it and putting it into a freezer for tomorrow, or for my children, or for my grandchildren, or for my great-grandchildren. But the human is the only animal which actually goes out and eats on that one day, and then says, I need some more for tomorrow, I need some for next week, I need some for the month after, I need some for my children, for my grandchildren, for my great-grandchildren, and for the generations that are going to come. And because, why? Allah won't provide for them. I don't have that trust. He provided for me, but I've got to accumulate and amass so much that Allah Ta'ala will then, through me, give to my great-great-great-great-grandson. He won't provide for him direct. Why? Why do we have that lack of trust?
But I get your point, and you know what? I sat there just thinking, you know what? That is so true. But then I have to reflect back on that. I've known families where one, let's just say in a family, you got 4 siblings. 2 siblings have done really well. 2 siblings have not done very well. So from your train of thought, would they, all 4 of them, have been able to have done well?
Well, what is...
And then, going back to my train of thought...
No, but with that, the 2 that have done well are likely to be the 2 elder ones.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, no.
I'll tell you, I don't mind talking about my makeup. I'm one of 6 siblings. And out of 6 siblings, I'm the youngest.
Okay.
And if we were to put it, I hope they're not listening, but I've probably done the best. Now, sorry, I hope they're not listening, but if they are, ha. No, sorry.
I'm sure I've got Aki's number here somewhere.
So, yeah, but I've done quite well. But, you know, when you look at it, it's the elder one. They've done okay. They've done okay, but there's some that haven't done okay. So if I hadn't have done okay and I hadn't been able to provide for them, where would that have left them?
So it's the definition of doing well, I suppose. I mean, there's more.
No,
money is a very important.
I see
part
where
of
you've
life.
come from. Your statement, I agree with. However, sorry, I'm interjecting. I went back, when you were saying that, I went back to my father. In my head, I reflect a lot when it comes to these things, and I think what my father would do or has done. And he came here with nothing, and like a lot of people with nothing. Neman came here, even in the village when he was back in Pakistan, probably one of the poorer families there at the time. So he came here with the intention of earning money, and he's 68 now, but he still works hard. The reason he still works hard, he wants to make sure that his generations to come, as you said, don't ever go through what he has gone through. He used to...
But going back to the point that Yusuf just made, you have to put the trust in Allah.
No, absolutely. But you have to put the trust in Allah. But
I really liked that. I tell you, that's probably one of the most powerful things I've heard this year.
Masha.
And I'm going to actually, because I'm guilty of everything that you've said.
We all are.
I've created a massive wealth for my children, for my siblings, for my family. And in essence, they don't need to do anything. But I've done that perhaps I've done it because a sense of pride. I've perhaps done it as a sense of, like you've said, lack of trust. Will they do it? Won't they do it? If I do it now, they won't need to do it in the future.
Yeah.
What's right? What's wrong?
Well, exactly. So everyone's doing it. I don't think anybody can point the finger at anybody else. We live in a world where we are measured by these things, and so we necessarily go down this road and start behaving in this way. But I think it's just about always appreciating what you've just said yourself there, that you need to have that trust, and you need to decide, you know what, I can take it easy. I don't need to be in this rat race. I can actually relax.
Rat race is a really important word. I'm glad you pointed it, because the more you look to achieve, or the more that you want to achieve or accumulate, the harder you need to work. The harder you need to work, the more hours you need to put in. The more hours you need to put in, the less you're focusing on your faith, less you're focusing on your family. And then you kind of sit back at the end of the day or at the end of the week, think, well, where's a week gone?
Yeah.
Where's everything gone? And what's it been worth?
And there is a cost. Despite the fact that you think I'm making and I've achieved and I'm profiting, there is a cost. And the cost may be in your health. The cost may be in the love you have for your children or the love they have for you. The love you have for your wife or she has for you. The time you spend for your parents, looking after them, worrying about them, giving them support and succor and giving them a sense of, so many of our elders are neglected in the communities. Why? Because we're running around making money.
Yep.
And we haven't got that time for our parents anymore. And I'm as guilty as the next man.
No,
When was the last time? Okay, I'm going to ask you both of you two. When one of your elders called you and said, sorry, Mom, I'm busy today.
Exactly. We make time at a very fixed point once in a week where we'll go and visit them and give them some time. But compared to what they want from us at this time of their life, there's a lot more we can do. So when you say two can be doing well and others not doing well, it's subjective, isn't it? It's what's well. Well could be in material terms very well. But actually, are you happy?
Well,
But
just
then-
success is measured in the same way.
Yeah.
Your success could be looking after your parents.
Exactly.
My success could be, my bank balance.
Yeah.
Success is what
But
one wants.
then
to
going
achieve.
back to my example of two doing well, two not doing so well, will I then eventually then be judged on the fact that I did well, but I then put the trust in Allah to treat these guys well, but they didn't do as well? So did I have a moral responsibility to actually...
Well, yes, and I think that's why. Who am I to say I think? I'm guessing that this is why Allah gives some people wealth. I'm guessing why Allah gives.
Well, if that's the case, everyone in the world would be wealthy,
Well,
and
exactly.
we wouldn't have
Yeah.
poverty.
Well, exactly. You see, one of the things that I think the United Nations calculated many, many years ago is that if everybody in the planet actually did take out 2.5% of their wealth and give it to the poor, there would be nobody below the poverty line.
Well, let's face it, if Elon Musk...
Well, that's
Gave-
one Elon Musk, but no, if everybody.
But he could eradicate world
Well, he could,
eradicate
yeah.
world
That-
poverty full
that's-
stop.
But that's one person, and he'd probably have to give all his wealth. But I'm talking about if everybody just gave 2.5%, if everybody just paid their zakat in the proper way and gave it to the people who deserved it. You won't make people rich. It's not that everybody will be living in a mansion and driving a 4x4. But what you would do is you take everybody out of the poverty trap by just simply doing that. So there is enough wealth in this dunya. Allah Ta'ala has provided enough on this planet for everybody to eat. We created imbalances. We in the West especially have got so much in comparison to what's in the global South. And as a result of that, we've created this artificial world where we think that we've got wealth and our wealth is somehow important. And a lot of the time our wealth is, we're going astray, we're going to get into politics, but our wealth is as a result of their poverty. It's the exploitation over generations as well. But let me just bring it back to another point, which is what about good debt and bad debt. And Allah Ta'ala himself says to us, he goes, give me a loan. And you may be thinking, well, what's this about? How can somebody loan money to Allah Ta'ala? And Allah Ta'ala says, no, I want a loan of you as well. Give me a loan. And the interest rates that I pay are better than any bank and they're better than any financial institute that you'll go to. If you come to me and give me a loan, I will return it manifold in this life and in the hereafter. And again, it just comes to trust. It just comes to trust. If you believe that banker, then you are a Muslim, and then you are devout, and then you are committed. And if you believe the bankers at Barclays and HSBC and everywhere else, then you're not as...
Do you mind if I ask? We've got just over 4 minutes remaining. Have you got any thoughts on like Sharia law and interest?
No, I wasn't talking about Sharia.
No, I know, but I was just thinking whilst we're on the property and the business side of it.
Well, he just proved that it's interest is permissible.
Well, I didn't. the interest rate Allah Ta'ala gives you is 1,000,000%.
Yeah, no, but
the idea how do you loan Allah is you give it to the poor.
Yeah.
That's how you loan Allah, and Allah will return it. You'll give it to where it's needed. So, my apologies. I've taken a totally different slant to your program.
No, it's okay. I mean, so Ijaz, do you have any comment on because there are Muslim mortgages out there?
There are Muslim mortgages, although how Islamically, how legal they are, I'm not too sure, because my personal opinion is it's just, they're masking the same product with a different, label. They're calling it a lease, and then but you're still paying, what you would as a mortgage, normal mortgage. In my opinion, it's the same. But obviously, some scholars have said that it's legal and it's Islamic and that it's Islamic mortgage. So I suppose those who believe will follow; those who don't won't.
Yeah, I'm still undivided.
I don't see the difference personally, other than I can charge a bit more.
Oh dearie me, Yusuf, do you see what I have to deal with?
He makes a valid point. I tend to agree with him. I think you are right. Yeah, what they fashion us or they show as being Islamic mortgages is really just exactly the same.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. So I mean, but there are lots of other ways that you can raise money, and you can do it Islamically. So you can buy instead of giving interest, you can give equity.
Yeah,
and that's where you get into like joint venture partnerships and stuff like that, and that's all legal and that's all above board and Islamically that works.
You should set up a Dragon's Den show.
Yeah, we could do
When
that.
you thought of joint ventures. Well,
we could do that if someone's got a venture and they want to bring it on board, and we can go through it. Can get Brother Yusuf in, can get Ijaz in. And then I'm more than happy to do that. That'd be a good new little concept.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it?
So for next week, perhaps we do that.
We've got hopefully a tax office, a tax assist type of person in who's going to be telling us how to save tax on property, commercial property, and also services, accommodation, etc.
Right. Okay. So next week he's going to be talking about. Even though this week we've been talking about how to leverage our debt, next week he'll be talking about when we've made profit, how to retain as much of the profit as possible.
Yeah, we love the profit.
Sallallahu alaihi
Sallallahu
wasallam. So he's a bad man. He's a bad man. No. So okay. So we're going to wrap up because we've got just over a minute remaining. So I mean, debt used well can do good things. Used badly, it can. And if you fall into the trap of buying stuff that you don't need for the purpose, to please others, what's the saying that you're purchasing stuff to please people that you don't really like, and this goes against all the kinds of things that you see on Instagram, etc. I use Instagram as an example because that's probably the most flashiest platform. But if you're buying stuff that you don't need to please people that you don't actually really like, and you're doing it for a purpose, that's not the right way of doing it. But if you're doing it to amass, to create wealth, and to create and help other people, as Brother Yusuf said, and we're doing it in the right way, debt can be a phenomenal thing, and I'm a big advocate for that. So, guys, that kind of brings us to the close of the show. Any last words, Jazz? Other than you weren't really meant to be here for 2 hours, but
no,
you have.
I wasn't. I've already had a missed call from the wife.
Right, it's okay. It's rules.
You've got to take the boys to the park.
Okay. So, Brother Yusuf, got last few seconds. I'd like to thank you for coming on.
For the time, and my apologies if I've said anything I shouldn't have.
No problem. Well, thank you very much, guys, and I look forward to speaking to you all next week. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
You. Bye.